bumfuck part of London right now. I don't know how the service is out here. Just bear with me, okay? Firstly, what's going on? I'm in London. I think I just said that. And I'm out here for coaching, for filming, so I'll talk a bit about that. But just to give you a recap or preview, I guess, of what the live will entail. Basically, this theme of adversity that I faced twice today. First was with approaching naturally, and the second was just something I did that was so stupid. And it's funny. It's a funny story though. I'll go to it. I'll go into it in detail, so hopefully you enjoy that. But yeah, just this concept of adversity is a good theme for a stream. So I just want to chat about it a bit. And I haven't talked to the guys lately. I haven't been on a stream in a couple of weeks since I've been out in Colombia at least. So yeah, I left Colombia a few days ago. Yeah, I've been doing filming the last couple of days here. Got a lot of good clips already. So we'll be able to roll that out over the next few weeks. Who knows when it's coming out, but we got some good footage in the works. And it's hot as shit for any of the UK viewers. Why is it so hot? I didn't know your country gets this hot. Like I'm boiling out here. I brought a bunch of I brought all my cool long sleeve sweaters, which I think I got three total in my collection. I mean, like just that I own. I only have like three. And I brought all of them thinking, all right, I'm gonna have some. I'll film in the blue one, and then I'll film in the red one. And no, I'm strictly filming in short sleeve t-shirts out here. It's fucking hot, which I didn't expect. I didn't know it even got this hot in the UK, so that's annoying. And my allergies have been crazy. I have this thing called hay fever out here. All right, this you didn't click on the video for that. Why did you click on the video? Firstly, if you're new here, my name's Ephraim. I'm 26 years old now. This is my second time in London. I teach guys how to approach, how to cold approach, which is essentially chatting to women that are strangers in a flirtatious manner, or at least attempting to, because it doesn't always go the way that you're hoping. And I try to be as honest and transparent with my content, which is why I show myself getting rejected, show myself getting dates lined up. I want you to see both sides so that you know that I'm nobody special. I'm not this weird guru telling you about the perfect technique to never get rejected. I think that's all bullshit unless they know something that I don't. So, anyways, we're going to go over the stories. First, I'm going to start with the fucking silly one. Oh, and then we'll get into the approach story, okay? So, as you see, the title is the worst thing you can do after rejection. We will get there. I'm gonna breadcrumb you though. I'm gonna edge you a little bit. Don't we all like to be edged? Okay, so starting off with the first piece of adversity I dealt with today, completely brought this upon myself. Firstly, I'm just gonna set the stage. Uh, so I'd just gotten home from filming. First thing I did, I took my shirt off. I was like, it's fucking hot. Took my shirt off, threw it on my bed, right? Second thing I did, went to the kitchen to preheat the oven to make myself some baked chicken. Side note, bought a big tray of baked chicken out here at Morrison's, which is their grocery store out here. It was like 8 pounds for like, it was like 3, 4 pounds of chicken for like 8 pounds, like the, not dollars, but pound currency. That's insane. That's like a ridiculously good deal. So I couldn't even believe how cheap it was. Anyways, preheated the oven, threw the chicken in the oven, and then I'm just gonna tell you what I was wearing. All right, so I had no shirt on. I had these gray short. I'm wearing them now. These gray shorts on, and then I had my Birkenstocks. All right, so toes were out. Toes were out. I've not clipped my toenails in a while, so they're just looking janky. All right. And the first way that I faced adversity today, well, I guess this is the second way, but I'm telling it first because this is just a fun story, shitty story on my end, fun for you to hear and laugh at. Uh, I go outside to throw the trash away, right? Chicken's just in the oven baking, and the door closes behind me, and I don't have the key on me. So for the next 90 minutes, just imagine Ephraim, right? Oh, yeah, the hotshot international business guy, flies around the world coaching clients, oh, has the cool George Washington haircut, blah, blah, blah. All right, me, right, however cool I may think I am, was absolutely humbled for the next 90 minutes. So I'm standing outside. Remember, I'm in Bumfuck, right? This weird little neighborhood in London. Would not recommend coming to this area, but the cheap Airbnb, whatever. It is what it is. I'm putting all my money in the business, right? I'm sitting out on the curb, right? I'm looking homeless, I bet. Right? Shirts off, not trimmed my chest hair in ages. So I'm hairy chest. I got the UK neighbors are walking by, giving me looks like, who's this fucking guy? A couple guys I even said as they looked at me, I locked myself out, waiting on the host. Took me forever to get in touch with the host. All right, guy was not replying. I'm like, I'm locked out. There's chicken in the oven. The oven's on. I'm trying to show how urgent this is. The oven's on. I don't want your house to burn down. Come let me in, right? Nothing. Just crickets for the first like 20, 25 minutes. So just a very humbling experience of Ephraim, however cool I may think I am, just sitting, like literally I'm just sitting on the sidewalk curb. There's like trash cans in front of the houses in this neighborhood. I don't know why they do it like that in the UK. And so there's just flies circling around, just an upsetting situation. Okay. So for the next 90 minutes, I'm sitting there in the boiling sun, shirts off, sweating my ass off, severely humbled, hungry, smelling the chicken, smelling the scent of the baked chicken. Sorry, it becomes pre-seasoned. It's coming through the hallway, and I could smell it going, come on, man, I need my dinner. And then finally, yeah, 90 minutes later, the guy unlocks the door. I get in the place. I had an application call like 20 minutes later, so I was like rushing to make sure I got ready for that. Thankfully, I was able to hop on. It went well. But the point is like, yeah, okay, jokes aside, right? The version of me maybe 3 years ago, I would have like broken down in that kind of a situation. I gotta call my dad, even though he's somewhere in California right now, yeah, 8 hours away, 10 hours away. I'd be like, son, I gotta call 911. What are we gonna do, right? I feel like homeless outside. I got my shirt off. It's hot. No key. How do I get inside? Life is fucking tough. But honestly, over the 90 minutes I was waiting, I was just like staring off into the distance. Finally, by the way, I got in touch with the Airbnb guy. He said I gotta pay him a hefty fee and he'll come unlock the door for me. But which is fair. I deserve to pay money for being such an idiot. But the point is like I was able to just sit down and just take it for what it is. I was like, okay. He said he'll be here in like an hour and some change. My call's not for another hour and a half. I should be good there. The chicken, it doesn't smell like it's burning. We should be good there. I'm just gonna have to sit here and hang my head in embarrassment as all these guys walk past me and girls as I'm shirtless sitting on the curb. It is what it is. And it's like life goes on, right? Okay. So that was just the funny story. The God, it just sucks that that happened, but it did happen, and we got through it, no problem. By the way, this is like I'm talking like 2, 3 hours ago, right? This happened today. The second thing before we get into the meat of the video is I just wanted to talk about the people that I'm speaking to because I had an application call like I think a week or two ago with a very solid guy. And he almost canceled the call. He told me on the call, he was like, yeah, I was about to cancel because you were dissing League of Legends and I play League of Legends. And I thought, oh, he doesn't want to work with me because I play League of Legends. All right, relax. Okay, when I say this stuff in my videos, don't take it too literally. I say it in my streams, I say it in my videos. By the way, I'm sure the guy who I'm talking about is watching the stream. He's like, yeah, I watch your streams when I'm at work, blah, blah, blah. So hopefully you're able to enjoy this story. Don't worry, I won't put you on blast. I'll keep your information a secret. But yeah, this was just a funny situation where he was like, yeah, like he ended up being a great fit for coaching. Was the right place financially yet, so fair enough. Talking about reaching out in another 6 months, so fair. But like just on paper, he passed the eye test. Guy looked good, sounded good, could hold a conversation. Already decent social life, already good career that's at least trending in an upward direction. Lives in a very populated area, near a very metro populated area. So just he was ticking all of the boxes, and then we got on really well. Like we were around the same age, both Gen Z, so we got on really well. But he felt like because he played video games of his free time that he almost didn't want to go through with the application call because he's like, well, Ephraim, you keep saying on your videos, you don't work with losers that play League of Legends and Minecraft. All right, don't take it too literally. I'm just trying to describe the archetype of guy that I don't want to reach out to me. I'm guilty of when I was 23, 22, before I learned approach, before I kind of grew out of video games. Dude, I was a fucking Call of Duty head, all right? I was always playing 2K. I was always playing Madden. I was always playing Black Ops. So I'm not trying to say that if you play video games, you can't learn approach. That's not what I mean in my content. I'm just describing the archetype of guy who like all he does is go clock into his dead end job, come home, take a bong rip or eat some shrooms or do some coke, whatever he's doing. And then he just hops on the video games and that's his life day in, day out. He's got no ambition. He's got no drive to pursue any sort of excellence in any category of life, right? He doesn't go to the gym, he doesn't work out. And then he comes across like cold approach videos and he thinks, I've not been laid in years, but maybe I could just learn how to sweet talk a girl. And then that's who I'm trying to like, what's the word? Like push away, repel from my coaching at least. That guy's free to watch my content. Hopefully it helps him out. But I don't want that guy booking in a call. And thankfully, I can't say I've had any calls with any guy that really resembles that archetype. So I guess my messaging, my marketing is working. But I also don't want to repel guys who just, that's just your escape is video games. But you're also taking care of your health. You're also doing your best at socializing. You're also doing well in your career, climbing the corporate ladder, trying to excel. And you happen to play League of Legends. It's okay. I'm sure there's some sick guys that also play League of Legends. Shout out to, we'll call him Tommy from the application call. You know who you are. So yeah, I just wanted to clarify. So when I talk about analytical guys who have something about them, that's what I mean. I don't mean that you can't play League of Legends if that's your thing. That's just like that's just the first thing that comes to mind for me when I think like guy who's like chronically online who never goes outside. I think of like Minecraft, League of Legends. Anyways, I think I've driven the point home. Yeah. So okay, so let's move on to the probably why you clicked on the video. Hopefully you enjoyed my 12-minute introduction about how much of an idiot I am, or at least was today. God, I love being humbled. I just get humbled all the time. And this was one of those where I was like, I felt so, dude, my shirt was like, just think about how exposed you feel. Shirt is off. I got my toes out in my Birkenstocks. Sun is on me. I'm boiling. I'm in a new country. I'm not from here. I don't have a UK accent. So I'm just sitting here like, oh, what the fuck. I'm the prototypical dumb American sitting on the sidewalk. Like, oh, people probably thought I was homeless. Anyways, all right, we'll move on from this. Hopefully you enjoyed that story. Okay, so really why I made this video was because of what happened today during the coaching. So just long story short, by the end of the coaching, it was like a really successful day. Yeah, a bunch of really good conversations that I'll be able to use for footage, got it clipped, etc. But it didn't start out that way. And I find that a lot have to learn this lesson in real time as they're going through this skill. They usually learn a version of it with me during the coaching, but then it's like they almost have to relearn it on their own as well, which is that firstly, you don't have to take every approach as a character defining moment. So like if you get a good reaction, if you get a bad reaction, the last thing you want to do is use that as your metric for like who you are as a person. And so this is especially true when you have days that aren't going your way, especially in the beginning. Okay, so I'll just go through the day and then I'll tell you how this relates. So to start off the day, we met at Liverpool Street Station, myself and Dan Man. I changed his name from Dirty Dan to Dan Man. He's professional now. He's Hollywood. He went Hollywood on me. So we're going with Dan Man now, okay? I like Dirty Dan. But anyways, we'll go with Dan Man. So we met up. He mic'd me up. We started filming. And no joke, the first 6, maybe even 7 approaches. I think it was 6. I'll have to go back and count. But the first 6 approaches went nowhere. I remember this is filming time that I've paid for, hard-earned money that I've paid for. I'm out here, I've bought the ticket, I've flown here, gotten over my fear. I'm like, all right, here we are, we're doing more filming. All right, I got the jitters because I'm nervous still, as I tell my viewer all the time. And the first 6 are going nowhere, right? And this is a very pivotal moment in the day, in the session for me, but also for any guy that is actively trying to learn cold approach, or maybe you're already seasoned, but sometimes you can fall into these pits, right? So either the girl wasn't stopping at all, this happened a few times, or the girl stopped really briefly, delivered the compliment, and then she just said, I'm taken, or I'm in a rush, or I'm on the way to work, or whatever. Or there was just a very brief chat, and then, yeah, like I mentioned, the girl was already taken, right? So this happened 6 times in a row within the span of like 20 minutes or so, because Liverpool Street, very busy street. I try not to fuck around when I'm filming. I'm paying for the time, so I'm trying my best to fire away, make use of the time that I've paid for. But I am human, right? So although you've seen videos of me, probably some of the uncuts of me having experiences like this, where some days the first approach goes amazing, although that doesn't always happen. Some days the first 2 go nowhere and the third one goes amazing, although that doesn't always happen. Some days the first 10 go nowhere, that doesn't always happen. Usually it's somewhere around what I'm talking about, right? It's like You've got to kind of find your groove, build a little bit of momentum. It's rare that the first girl you walk up to in a day is the one that's going to be interested in be out on a date with you. It's rare that the first 10 girls all are going to blow you off. That's also very rare. And if that's happening, maybe that happens one off, but if that's happening consistently, that's something you should be looking into as far as what you could be doing wrong there. But all in all, it shakes out to like the first handful of approaches might go decent, but usually don't go amazing. Same thing though, they usually don't go terrible either. But today, 6 in a row of just nothing, right? So no, I don't think any conversation went past like 30 seconds. And so naturally, I'm starting to feel the human emotions, right? Although I've been in this position before, still, I feel that sting of like, geez, okay, so am I doing something different today? Am I off today? What's going on? Is it the sneezing, right? The allergies that but today I didn't really have bad allergies. That was more yesterday. So I'm kind of like going through my head thinking, I'm trying not to show this outwardly, right? I'm still being a positive person as I always try to be, but I'm feeling something inside, right? I'm going like, gee, it doesn't feel good, that I haven't gotten any of these girls to really engage with me, not just like agree to a date, but just at least have like a chat, 2 minutes, whatever, engage with me, right? And for the first 6 approaches or so, that wasn't happening. A lot of guys find themselves in this same position. And so this is where the title comes in. I say that the worst thing you can do when you get rejected, or the worst thing you can do after a rejection, is get super self-critical. Okay, this is the last thing that you want to do. Because when you get super self-critical, the approaches that come after that point usually just get worse and worse and worse. So there was a version of me probably when I was learning this skill set that when this kept happening back to back, because it happened back then, just like it'll happen now, um, I would have been very self-critical. I would have been thinking, God, I must not look good enough, or I must not be tall enough. I would have been thinking, it must be because I'm an American guy in London. These girls must just want UK guys, or whatever. I must be too exotic looking. I must not have dressed the part today. All of these different excuses, maybe this excuses is the wrong word, but just critical beliefs of ourselves will start to crop up. It's like whatever we're most insecure about in that moment, it tends to surface when we have experiences like this, just back to back blowouts, right? It's funny enough, the guy that I had an application call with today, same deal, right? Successful guy, he's quite young, but he's working in tech, got an investment property, was able to socialize quite well. And that was his main fear. The reason why he's not done an approach yet is because he's worried about worst case scenario that the girl isn't interested and just blows him off. And then he thinks like, well, I'm going to crumble. I'm going to melt in that moment. I'm going to disintegrate. I'm going to cease to exist. That tends to be what we're most fearful of somewhere in the back of our head, right? But that's something I experienced today, and I've experienced hundreds of times, but I've experienced it today. And so I just want to talk you through how I rerouted my thought process and then how it led to a awesome rest of the day, which I'll also get into. So first, let's just remind ourselves of what the typical guy will do in this situation, not because he's bad, not because I'm better than him, just because he's not built as much resilience in this area of life, right? As much fortitude. And so he's faced with this adversity, as you see the theme of the video, me getting locked out of my own Airbnb, shirtless, like, oh, what am I going to do? Just sitting on the curb, adversity. But you feel it a lot more severely when it comes to approach, right? You're being vulnerable. You're putting yourself in a position where you're lowering your ego. You're trying to, all you have is good intentions, right? You see a girl that you find attractive. You just want to go over and compliment her, see if it goes anywhere. All you have is good intentions. And when 6 times in a row, the girl is just not having it, not interested, blows you off, it starts to sting, right? So the last thing you want to do is get super inward, is start to bow your head, think about what you're doing wrong as far as, again, I should clarify, I'm speaking to people who know what they're doing, who've either gotten results through approach or have been coached through approach or actually building the skill. If you're brand new and you've done like 10 in your life, okay, well then yeah, you should be using this as feedback. It's like, okay, am I getting not in front enough? Or am I startling the girl? Whatever. Even to this day, sometimes I'll audit myself like today, right? And I'll just start racking my brain. All right, what am I doing here? Is it technique or is it just I got unlucky 6 times in a row? Like, which is it, right? So anyways, now that I've clarified, I'm talking to people who are actually proficient with the skill of approach. When you get battered 6 times in a row like I did today, the last thing you want to do is get self-critical and think like, am I not good enough? Does this define me as a person? No girl is going to like me. Is that what this means? Does it mean that Ephraim on Wednesday, July 8th, 2026 is just a failure today and for the rest of my life? Is that what this means? Like, you don't want to get, you don't want to go down that thought track. Instead, what I like to do is just remind myself, and this is what I do with my clients, when I'm with them one-on-one, I coach them in this specific way. When they inevitably reach a stretch just like this, where they're getting blown out back to back to back, these are some of the things I start to tell them. All right. So I go like, look, if I was talking to myself in this case, I would say something like, I mean, look, you're 26, you've put work into your physique, you look good, right? You found a look that works for you, you found a style that you like, that you feel confident in. You're a fairly accomplished guy. I mean, I'm not some amazing, famous, rich person, definitely not. But I'm a fairly accomplished person, at least for like the median level of my age, right? Where I've been a software engineer. I've made six figures remotely at a pretty young age. I've done tech sales. I've got an extensive tech background. I've put myself in a lot of uncomfortable situations. I've traveled around the world to different continents, a lot of different countries. I built up a global network of guys that I'm a part of, friends with, guys that I've coached, that I see in different areas of the world. You know, I meet up with friends in different areas of the world. And I'm building an international business, right? That's the big one for me is I go, you know, I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right for myself. So this is the kind of stuff that when things aren't going my way with approach, I like to remind myself of. Because the key to remember when you face a string of blowouts like this, just generally adversity, is that doesn't change the man that you've built yourself into. Yes, I understand it's an ego punch and it does sting. It stung today for me, but it doesn't change anything about me. If anything, it only gives me positive reinforcement, meaning I build a little bit of resilience. I build a little bit more fortitude. Yeah, just a few more layers of going through things that are non-ideal and then living through the other end of them and going, I'm still alive. Nothing's happened to me. Nothing bad has happened. Nobody's throwing tomatoes. We're good, right? Life still moves on. The reason why this mentality is so important to adopt with a skill as difficult as cold approach is because of what happened later on in the day, which I'm going to go into. All right. So if I had been super negative on myself, if I told Dan, man, you know what, dude, today's not my day. These girls just aren't into me today. Let's just try again tomorrow. If I had told him that, then what happened next would not have happened and I wouldn't have a boatload of content from today. This is what happened next. I got into another conversation on Liverpool Street. This one went all right. This was like a 60-second conversation, nothing amazing, right? And then the girl, she was like, oh, it's my first day at work. We chatted about that for a bit. And then she said, I do have to get going. Understandably, first day of work, can't be late for that, right? But that was a little bit of momentum. And I told the camera that. I was like, okay, like that wasn't, that wasn't a close. I didn't set up a date for you on camera as a demonstration. So, it is what it is. But that felt better. That felt better than all the girls completely blowing me off. This one actually stopped and engaged with me. Okay, that felt good, right? And it's just one little win, a little glimpse of sunshine amongst the clouds, a little sunshine. And then all of a sudden, I start feeling a little bit better about myself, right? Remember, I'm human. So although I tell myself, it doesn't define you, don't be down on yourself, just keep going, I still feel the feelings associated, the emotions associated with it, right? The negative emotions of like, oh, geez, all right, this feels a bit brutal. This stings a little bit. All right, those six didn't stop. That's tough, right? Hopefully this isn't all day. Hopefully, I've paid for this filming time. Hopefully I get the ball rolling. These are also some of the things that are going through my mind, right? But I intentionally redirect my thoughts towards a positive framing as opposed to a negative one. If you go down this negative thought track, it's just this cycle of I'm not good enough. These girls aren't going to like me. Then you do another approach if you muster up the courage and you're just rejecting yourself by default because you're walking over like, hey, you look good, but the last six didn't like me. You're probably not going to either. Right? Obviously, you're not saying that, but like that's the energy that you're giving off in that next conversation. When you take the positive reroute, then all of a sudden you're not as positive and spiffy as if you had just gotten 5 dates set up in a row. Okay, fair enough. But you're also not super down on yourself and you're like more at a neutral positioning, which is important. Okay. So this is what happened immediately after that conversation, 60 seconds, nothing crazy. I think another 1 or 2 blowouts on the way as we were walking towards the Shoreditch area. Then I got into a really solid conversation. This one lasted, I think Dan Man told me 8 minutes. It was going really well. Then I told the girl I'm only here for 3 weeks. And then she said, oh, this kind of, you're going to leave soon, so maybe it doesn't make sense, blah, blah, blah. I ended up asking her out after that conversation. The chemistry was really there, but fair enough. She's not looking for anything short term. Obviously, these girls are just for demonstration only, but she didn't know that, right? So when I told her I'm only here for 3 weeks, I could see the gears turning in her head. And oh, okay, gotcha. So that didn't go anywhere. When I asked her out, she's like, I'm gonna pass. You're only here for a short amount of time. I was like, fair enough. Well, funny aside, I'll just give you this. The content whenever it drops, she ended up thanking me when I told her like, oh, I'm happy I gave you a compliment. She like took a step back and she was like, wow, thank you. Like I'm used to guys getting defensive when I say no and they start asking for a reason. They start going, oh, why do you have a boyfriend? This and that. So she was like, thank you for going about this so respectfully and just like accepting the no as a no. And I was like, yeah, no problem. And then she kept talking to me for like 4 more minutes. I was like, oh, sick. All right. So the point is, it just felt better than how I started off the day. 6 blowouts in a row. Fuck. Yeah, this feels pretty brutal. This feels like I'm getting punched right now, which I'm very used to. But it doesn't change that I still feel those emotions, right? I'm not a robot. And then I continue going in. Okay, a little bit of momentum there. And then this most recent conversation I'm telling you about, right? A blowout or two in between. It's all right. We're still climbing our way up the mountain, and then all of a sudden, boom, 8 minute chat. She doesn't. She's not interested in actually taking things further, closing for details, whatever. But I'm saying that like a nerd, closing for giving me her number is what I mean. She's not interested in that. Fair enough. But that's the best conversation of the day, right? And that came at approach number whatever it was, 8 or 9 or whatever, 10, who knows. So generally speaking, the theme, right? If we're gonna graph this, if we're gonna chart this on a graph, it's starting to trend upwards, right? Where in the beginning of the day it was just straight plummeting downhill. Yeah, a little bit of momentum, we start to plateau, and then all of a sudden this conversation sprouts up, 8 minutes long. Boom! It's like straight up in the air. I'm feeling good, right? I come back to the camera. I'm like, look, that didn't go anywhere, but like, shit, for the way that the day started, that feels pretty damn good, right? Maybe it's ego validation, whatever it is. Maybe it's a little confidence boost. Whatever it is, it does feel good, especially for a beginner who needs that kind of validation, who's never gotten proof that women actually want to chat, engage with him, have a conversation, flirt. For a guy who hasn't proven that to himself yet, that's very, very important information that he needs. And so that was helpful, right? Because then the day started feeling a bit different. Started walking with my chest a little bit higher, shoulders a little bit further back, right? A smile was on my face instead of like, fuck, dude, the last 6 didn't. It was like, all right, she was into me. Like, yeah, fair enough. She's not I told her 3 weeks, she wasn't down for that. Fair enough, but that felt good. We were flirting, we were having a good time. Okay, cool. More positive momentum building. And then we move into the next conversation of the day, which changed everything around. 25 minutes, which I I don't recommend you have this long of a conversation. It was just going so well. I might have to break this into like a couple videos, but just you can imagine how well it was going if it's a 25. Dan man I look back at him after we film. I go, dude, I'm sorry you're standing in this boiling sun for damn near half an hour filming that, but yeah, he's a trooper. So 25 minutes, girl with tattoos on her arms and her legs, which is, I really like that. And yeah, we're just talking about everything under the sun, right? About tattoos, about where she's from, where I'm from, how we like in London, and everything you can imagine, right? Which you'll see in the infield. But the point is, obviously I close for details in that case, right? Pull out my phone, we talk about drinks, we nail down a place or an area of London, we nail down a day. Again, a reminder for the guys who are wondering about the dates and stuff. I don't go on these dates. These are for you. You should be going on these dates. I make content so guys watch what I'm doing, realize that I'm not full of shit, click apply to work with me, and then come and work with me in person so that they can go on the dates. I'm not interested in it. This is purely for content. So that should sting a little bit that I'm just wasting number after number, number after number. That could be an amazing relationship. I'm just not interested at this phase in life. I'm purely focused on business growth and on coaching the guys who've trusted me with this delicate area of their life. All right. So if you're one of them, just a reminder, click the link in the description below. It's a apply to work with me link. You can book a call. I'll teach you exactly the stuff that I'm going over in this stream, but right next to you. So anyways, yeah, what a great conversation, right? That was amazing. Close for details, like I said, set up the theoretical. I end up deleting her number anyways. And then I'm talking to camera about the experience, and then we round the corner. This is like we're getting to the Shoreditch area. We round the corner, another close. a couple more blowouts, another close, a couple more blowouts, another close. So like, I'm not even gonna get into the details of the other conversations. The point is like, just think about the momentum swing of the day. All right. So to be fair, this isn't every day for me. Right. This isn't that like I'm not always out for hours approaching filming. This is purely because I'm trying to get content. So some days, if I'm out doing a few approaches, I'll do three, and if they go nowhere, it is what it is. But I'm specifically talking to the guy who has carved out an afternoon and is like, I want to either learn approach, get better at approach, line up dates for myself, get a date this weekend, whatever. So I'm going to set aside these 90 minutes to go out and do some approaches when I find girls that are attractive. The last thing you want to do, if the day starts out how it did for me, is just get super self-critical and start thinking about everything that you think is wrong with you, or every reason you think that the girls haven't responded well to you thus far. That's a very negative line of thinking, and it takes you down a negative path, realistically. Instead, what you want to do is take the positive route, remind yourself of who you are, because remember, I'm only talking to guys who have built themselves into a respectable, solid product. I don't mean products like cattle. I mean the version of you who you see when you look in the mirror. You should be proud of him. If you're cold approaching and you're not proud of the version of yourself that you see in the mirror, then you should stop immediately. You should focus on other areas. I'm talking to the guys who know that they're dateable, who know that they've put in work, who respect themselves for the amount of effort and work that they've put into themselves, their physique, their presentation, their career, their social skills, their social network, their risk-taking tendencies, and everything in between. If you like where you are in life, generally speaking, but just dating lags behind, then when you're faced with a situation, a scenario like this, you shouldn't be trying to uh, cut yourself down in this manner and talk about, oh, maybe I don't make enough money. Maybe I'm not tall enough. That's the wrong line of thinking. If I had gone through that line of thinking, I wouldn't have had such a successful rest of the day with all these closes that happened, all these, and the ones that I didn't, like the conversations that didn't end up in us exchanging numbers or a date still went fucking awesome, right? The first six went nowhere. I probably had a couple of pretty brutal blowouts after the 25-minute combo, but the majority of the ones even didn't go anywhere, the girls were giving me great reactions. They were saying, "Thank you so much for coming up to me. But I'm engaged. Oh, but I really appreciate it." This, like, I was just getting such good reactions. And we can speculate, right? There's an element of luck here. Maybe some of the girls I was approaching later in the day were just more pleasant. Who knows? We can never know for a fact. But what I've just done this so many times. I mean, obviously, all the film, right? Not to mention what I did when I was learning the skill and then building it on my own in San Francisco and all the dates and stuff. So, just from what I've learned through my experience, what's actually likely to have changed from the beginning of the day to the middle of the day when I had that 25-minute combo and then afterwards is how I felt about myself in that moment. When I was walking over to that girl, how did I see myself? Because in the beginning of the day, I was fresh. I did my first approach, right? The gleam in my eye, I was going, let's go. We're gonna have a great day. Blowout, 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 blowout. And so slowly but surely, that edge is starting to get shaved off of me, and I'm starting to question myself. I'm trying not to, but naturally, as a human, this all happens, right? We start to question ourselves. But because I went with that positive reinforcement of like, okay, I'm eating shit right now, but that doesn't mean that's gonna happen all day. Yeah, life approach, they're very similar. It's very cyclical stuff, right? Momentum is big too. So I continued putting myself in. I continued putting my best foot forward. I continued reminding myself that I am proud of who I built myself into, of my presentation, my social skills that I built, my friend network that I built, the business that I'm building, all of it, all of, I'm not perfect, but I'm proud of who I built myself into. And so I brought that version of myself into every conversation as best as I could, instead of trying to chop myself down and talk myself out of continuing. And then what do you know? The momentum swung the other way. Good conversation, better conversation, 25-minute conversation, close, 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 right? Good reaction, good reaction, good reaction. Okay. So what changed? How I felt about myself in the moment. And because I was able to put myself in once again after the string of blowouts, I got a better reaction. And so I felt a little bit better about myself. Yeah, and then I got a better conversation, the 8-minute conversation where she wasn't interested in exchanging details, but it was an 8 minute chat. So I felt a little better about myself, right? I was like, okay, that felt good. We flirted for a few minutes. She wasn't into it at the end, fair enough, but that's still, that's another building block. And then obviously the ultimate relation is the 25-minute one where we were just back and forth the whole time, flirting, chatting, nailing down a area of London and a day for a potential a theoretical date that'll never happen because I'm just here doing it for content for you. And again, that just added to that positive reinforcement of okay, so girls do like me. Okay, so I can get results through approach. Okay, so I can do it on a hot day where I started out with a bunch of blowouts, where my allergies are off the walls, where we're in a busier area of the city. Whatever obstacles there are, it still can work out in my favor. Once again, if I just continue pushing through the adversity and I continue just giving myself a chance, right? And so then by the end of the day, another reminder, another lesson that every approach is independent. Yes, we have to look at things objectively because because then you can have a day where the first approach you do goes amazing, right? And so then often we swing the other way and we start thinking, or at least the beginner, when that if and when that happens, the beginner starts thinking, "Oh my God, I'm awesome. Okay, rejection's never going to happen again." And then let's say he goes out the next Saturday and he gets a bunch of blowouts in the beginning. And then he goes, "Oh my God, I guess fluke." We have to look at the through line here, right? So we can't put so much weight on each individual approach. We have to take a step back and look at the data collectively. I know I'm nerding out, but I'm speaking to analytical guys with my content. So you know how to read fucking Excel charts, right? Take it back. Don't just look at those 6 blowouts in the beginning in my case. Look at the day as a whole. Holy shit, I got at least 5 videos out of today's filming session. Like, that's really good for me. That's a great metric for me, which started out with 6 shit conversations or shit reactions. That's how we started. By the end of the day, we had 4 or 5 videos lined up, ready to go whenever I get to editing them. So we want to be able to push ourselves, or I guess pull ourselves out of that pit because you're going to feel the sting of that rejection. And just remind yourself that every approach is independent. But what's important is how you feel in the moment when you're actually doing the approach. That's always going to make its way somehow into the conversation. How you feel about yourself, it's just going to be communicated to the girl you're speaking to. So if you're talking to yourself super negatively, even in a conversation with a girl who would have been interested if you presented yourself in a better way, she may not be because of all of the subtleties of what happened when you start talking to yourself negatively. Yeah, it's the facial expressions. You go from the flirty version of yourself who's like, yeah, what's up, you look good, to like, oh, the last few girls didn't like me. And so you start talking like this, hey, how's it, you look good. Yeah, the way that you're projecting your voice, the way that you could absorb the spotlight or whatever spotlight you've created with the approach, the way that you're holding eye contact, right? You imagine you get a bunch of phone numbers, you're going to be looking at the next girl differently than if you've just been getting battered and you've been talking negatively to yourself. Then you might be kind of looking down or looking around, looking a bit tense. This all plays into your success in the subsequent approaches. Again, removing the element of luck that's always going to be there because sometimes you walk over to a girl who just is married and it's like, well, this was always going to be a losing battle anyways, but it is what it is. You can't control, who's taken, who's not, who's going to be interested, who's not. You can't control that, right? I'm just so taking that element out of it. I'm specifically talking about those approaches that you may be doing that would have went well if you felt better about yourself when you did it, but maybe because you're talking to yourself after the string of rejections in a very negative way, it also went bad. And you're almost leaning into that negative momentum and going, this isn't going to work. This is never going to work for me, etc. So yeah, just the one positive reaction will really just change your entire day around. And I try to the best of my ability to not let it really affect me, but I'm just human and it just is going to affect me and everybody who learns and tries to approach. So if you can really just continue putting yourself in there until you get a positive reaction, then boom, that reinforces things for yourself. And you go, okay, All right, proof of concepts. Nice. I got a good 62-minute chat, right? 60-second, 2-minute chat out of this. She wasn't interested in the end, but she was beside herself that I gave her a compliment. Okay, that felt good, right? That's a building block. And then you build another and another. And then all of a sudden you have the 25-minute masterclass in my case where I'm like, geez, it sucks that this is for content, but it is going to be a great demonstration of what I'm talking about with how you're starting your day. So, and then, as clearly that changed my entire day around because I had that really good experience. I started walking over to the next girls with this arrogance to me, not this douchebag arrogance, but almost this like, oh, that, yeah, she's gonna like me, right? I'll pass by and I'm like, damn, man, we're going in. We're going, like, all of a sudden I felt different, right? As opposed to when I was in the thick of that 6 blowout streak, I was going, okay, we're going in. I'm gonna try this one. All of a sudden you break the seal, you have a great interaction, then it's like, oh yeah, we're going in for this. Oh, come on, we're going. And then you just carry yourself differently. So you just want to stay out long enough for that momentum to really start to, I mean, you've got to generate it like pedaling a bike, but once it's underneath you, you can really start to ride that momentum. So obviously that's specifically applicable to a guy who's doing a proper session, right? Maybe you've said, all right, I'm going to take 90 minutes out of my Saturday, go to the city center, fire off approaches, ideally line myself up with a date. If you are doing more of the lifestyle approaches that pretty much I learned this skill on, which is, to be fair, during my coaching, when I was getting coached, I learned it this way. But when I got home to San Francisco, this is how I continued developing it. It's just the lifestyle approach. I had my electric skateboard, I'd ride around town, go see my friends, whatever I was doing, and then I would clean. So yeah, that is a bit different, right? Because the momentum is not really there in that case. I might do one approach today, I might do three tomorrow, I might do zero the next day, and then four the day after. Like it really is just depending on, it's more of like an opportunistic style, but yeah, the same thing is true, which is all of those approaches are also independent. None of them are interconnected. And so if four of them go wrong or then that doesn't mean the fifth one will. So it still applies. Cool. Hopefully you found this useful if anybody is watching. Um, yeah, I just want to talk through the experience of, and I love relearning these lessons because this is going to be very useful for my upcoming coaching. I got two guys that I'll be coaching here within the month, and so I'm excited about it. And this is something that I know for both of them at some point in their coaching, I'm just gonna have to walk them through. And so it's really nice to have gone through it so recently. So I could literally just point back to what Wednesday, right? I can go, dude, just last Wednesday, I went through exactly what you're going through right now. Now go chat to her, and then boom, it's gonna go great. It's gonna change his entire paradigm. That's just how this skill goes. So. All right, so anyways, I'll just wrap up by saying this is what I do. I have a background in programming, I have a background in tech sales, a lot of sales background. So it really played well into what I do now, which is coach guys through a very difficult social skill known as approach. So, yeah, if you resonate with my style and my personality and my content and what you've seen of me so far, and you want to learn how to do this directly from me, then I'll teach it to you because that's what I do full time. I left behind the tech bro world. I could have stayed a tech bro. I actually loved being a tech bro, not gonna lie. But I left the tech bro Silicon Valley world behind because I see a bigger mission here. I really feel like I'm changing lives. Over there, I was changing code, building software, building products, selling products. That was cool. But here I feel like I'm changing lives. I really like jumping into the trenches with guys, putting my arm around them and telling them that we're pretty much the same. We might look completely different, but like you're scared of what I'm scared of and vice versa. We all want to be loved. We all want to feel appreciated. We all want to be validated and everything else that comes with just life in general and learning the skill of approach. Yeah, just the more guys I coach, the more life experience I gather. Honestly, I'm just realizing how we are just grown up children, aren't we? I mean, literally, but when you think about it, it's like we've built this shell and obviously we're living in adult bodies now, but like deep down there is still that inner child that with a skill set as delicate as cold approach, as vulnerable as cold approach. Um, Oftentimes we need somebody who can really speak to that version of us, not the egotistical version who's trying to put on a front, who's bluffing to their friends about, oh, I get girls, dude, I'm doing just fine. I'm talking about the kind of person who can speak to what's truly going on beneath the surface. Because that was the case for me 3 years ago. I was bluffing to my friends. We were always having the ego battle. We were always taking shots on tequila shots on Friday night. We're gonna get so many girls tonight, dude. We're gonna bring them back. We're gonna get so much play tonight. And then we would go out, and nobody in the group would go talk to any of the girls, or maybe we would put up one or two pathetic attempts and then go home sad, horny. We'd all go in our rooms, play Black Ops, smoke weed, and go, fuck, another night failed. We'll get them next Saturday. We'll get them next Friday, whatever, right? I'm not talking to that version of you. I'm talking to the one that actually is frustrated with where you are and is looking to actually move forward in this area of life. Get this skill under your belt. It's not easy to build, it's not pretty, and it's not perfect. But I mean, my clients are going on dates. The dates that I've had in the past, whatever number of years, have been through approach or accessory venues, right? Like parties I've been invited to, etc. So just it's a very viable way. And if you're anything like me, probably just don't have much success on dating apps. I've not been on a dating app since I learned approach. I haven't found the need for it anymore. And now they're getting quite advanced. I'm seeing these videos pop up about how to use AI pictures to maximize your Hinge profile. I'm going, oh, fuck. These guys are getting desperate, aren't they? Fabricating photo. Like, it's one thing, right? I was pathetic enough to buy a tripod when I was 20, go out into some field, some meadow, and then use a self-timing iPhone feature to like take picturesque aesthetic photos of myself. Still just barely getting matches, just matching with a bunch of fat girls going, fuck, all right, maybe I need better pictures. But now we've gotten to the point where guys are just literally faking the pictures. I mean, geez, that's got to feel quite deceptive, right? I'm glad I got out of the whole dating app game before I got to that point where, I mean, you're literally just lying. You're just fabricating a lifestyle to get play. And it's like I really wanted to find women who really just vibed with me, not the persona I was trying to portray on my dating app profile. Just girls that just liked the person that presented himself in front of them, flaws and all. And so you can definitely find that if you're a presentable guy. You can definitely find that with approach as long as you know what you're doing. So all right, there's the TED Talk. We've been yapping, always do. Cool. Well, yeah, click the first link in the description below if you'd like my help. Otherwise, keep enjoying the free content. But yeah, you can book a call with me. We'll see if you're a good fit. If you are, I'll be in Europe until end of September, it's looking like. I've got some slots open. July is pretty booked up. Um, August, maybe second half of August, I've got some availability. And then earlier September time is looking good. But aside from that, not too much availability. So if you are out here in Europe, let's just get the ball rolling. Yeah, you've probably been frustrated for long enough. So let's just get this sorted for you. Otherwise, if you're US based, we can start planning ahead. So, all right, boys, that's it. Drop a like if you made it to the end. Help the boy. Yeah, help the algorithm. Come on. We got to get this to the target audience. We got to get this to the League of Legend players. What up, Tommy, if you're still watching, bro? Come on. We need more Tommies in the chat. But no, seriously, hopefully it does resonate. Hopefully this gets to the right audience. And if so, yeah, feel free to book a call. We'll chat about the rest there, okay? Chat soon.